Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We got game one of the Stanley Cup Finals in the books with the Florida Panthers getting a dominant win over the Edmonton Oilers, 3-0, down in Sunrise. And Sergei Bobrovsky looked absolutely fantastic tonight. He was on it from the start of the game. There's no doubts about it. Aaron, what's your thoughts about tonight's game or game one of the Stanley Cup Finals?
This is definitely not a Rangers team, that's for sure. For Bobrovsky, like these Oilers were skating fast. They were getting to the net. They had, I believe, like 4 opportunities for breakaway goals. Like this Oilers team is fast. So Bobrovsky has his work cut out. I mean, granted, 32 safe. He's had 2 shutouts in the playoffs
Right.
so far. So I mean, hats off to him, but I still think, like it says on my caption right there, Oilers in 7.
Oilers in 7. I don't know. It's we talked about it on last week's episode of the 5-hole on last Monday. We were talking about how Florida is able to shut down opposing teams' top guys, and they did that. They did that tonight. They did not give Connor McDavid any room whatsoever. Here and there you would see it. He would somehow manage to there was one, I think it was the second period, early in the second period, if I remember right. Maybe it was later in the first, one of the two. He had a nice little burst of speed come right in front of Bobrovsky, and I think it was actually earlier on in the first period. But Bobrovsky got the stick down. McDavid was trying to go 5-hole on him. It didn't happen. He's like, he was on it tonight. We'll get Brandon in here, bring Brandon in here in just a second, get his thoughts on game one of the Stanley Cup Finals here as well. Brandon, welcome.
How's it going?
Not too bad. What's your quick thoughts on game one of the Stanley Cup Finals?
What's up?
So what's your quick thoughts on
kind of broke up.
You're good. What's your quick thoughts on the Stanley Cup or game one of the Stanley Cup Finals?
I thought Florida actually controlled the game for pretty well. I mean, they didn't have as many shots on goal as what the Oilers did, which surprised me that I guess they just had better quality shots than what Edmonton did, and they were able to come out with the game. But yeah, it was a good game, but I wasn't really surprised that they came out with a win with a shutout. I was a little surprised about.
Yeah, so you look at 32 shots on net for the Oilers, 18 for the Florida Panthers. Even though the Panthers ended up with that 3-0 win tonight, you get Carter Verhaeghe, who had 1 goal in tonight's game. Evan Rodriguez scored his first goal in, I think they said 11 games.
12 games, I was thinking it was like Boston. Boston was the last time he scored.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since he's found the back of the net, and you get the empty net goal by oh god, I said his name earlier in my head. Listerainen.
Say that 3 times fast.
Listerainen. Yeah, it's like Listerine. He got the empty net goal to make it 3-0 Florida. Fun fact, I wouldn't say it's a fun fact. He didn't play at all in the Stanley Cup Finals last year for Florida. He got hurt in the Eastern Conference Finals. So he did not play. So this was his first Stanley Cup Final game. So hats off to him for getting one. So you look at the important stat, I think here, at least for me, the biggest one is the number 1 ranked power play goes up against the 2nd ranked penalty kill. And it showed tonight. Edmonton went 0 for 3 on the power play. Florida went 0 for 2 in theirs, but you just see how dominant that the Florida Panthers power play can be in this game, and I think you saw that tonight. Aaron, what do you think Edmonton's got to do to just to get that little bit of an edge when it comes to at least on the power play side?
Well, I think they're doing well on the power play side. I think they need to just keep doing what they're doing. They had a lot of shots on goal tonight.
Yeah.
So I think they just keep up what you're doing. I think after the power play, they need to keep the McDavid, Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins line because they were actually doing better second period on with that line and first line. So I think they need to keep up with that. As far as the penalty kill for the Oilers, I think all they need to do is just keep hitting. Just keep hitting Florida Panthers, knocking them down a little bit because really the Panthers never had any trouble in the last 2 series with anyone really just kind of rattling them. I think if they rattle their cages, they should be fine. But they know what they're doing because they have Paul Coffey helping them out, the Oilers, so they'll be all right.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think it comes to the power play of the Edmonton Oilers? Is there anything that you thought they could have done differently tonight, or do you think it was just one of those nights where no matter what they did, they weren't going to get anything past Bobrovsky?
I think with just the level of play that Bobrovsky has been showcasing in the last couple series, I think it was just a fact of the matter that Bobrovsky is playing on the top of his game right now in the playoffs, and he's not going to let very many goals in. I mean, there was a stat just after the game that said that he's only let in 2 or fewer goals against in the last 11 of 12 games. Not allowing teams to score that many goals is huge.
Yeah, to have somebody playing at the top of his game in the most important time of the year is big for the Florida Panthers. Because we all know that the Florida Panthers are a fast team. They're going to get the puck around. They're going to move around. You saw both teams flying around tonight. I thought that was one of the fastest games I've seen in a while when it comes to just the overall speed on the ice. But you get the back and forth play. There wasn't really a lot of stale time. Like there wasn't any of that. This team really dominated their offensive zone compared to the other side of things. I don't think we really saw that tonight.
I think Darnell Nurse just needs to get his head out of his butt. Because that dude is a horrible defenseman to start with. He stealed the Oilers, making 11-5. He I don't know what he was doing on the Evan Rodriguez goal, but he was nowhere to be found. Like that dude needs to step it up hardcore on the defensive side. Because that blue line's a little shaky in general, but he needs to pick it up.
Yeah, so you get the face-off percentage of 60-40 in favor of the Florida Panthers tonight. You look at a stat like that, how much does that affect the game as you go on throughout the rest of the game itself? I guess I should say, Brandon. What do you think? How important is that stat? You look at 60-40 face-off percentage in favor of the Florida Panthers tonight.
I mean, face-offs are important regardless of where you're at on the ice. If you're on the offensive side, you want to win so that way you can get time on attack again. If you're on the defensive zone, you want to win so that way you can get out of your zone and start on attack. I mean, if you're winning face-offs, that is just giving you that much of an added edge whenever play starts again. So, I mean, that they were able to win 60%, practically 60% of the time, and Edmonton wasn't able to get that much off of the face-off. That helps Florida out that much more. When you have a 3-0 lead and Edmonton's trying to get the puck in order to make it even or close to even,
right?
Having that kind of stat is rough when you're not winning faceoffs.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of Stuart Skinner's play tonight, Aaron?
I thought he was good. I mean, the Conor Verhaeghe goal, you really couldn't stop that one just because it is it is. But
there's not too many goalies that could be able to stop something like that. It's tough.
There was one guy, but he's not playing right now.
Jordan
definitely not. Talking about the other Russian. But now, and also too with Evan Rodriguez goal, like I just said, like There's nothing he could have did on that one just because the defense wasn't there. So I thought he played a pretty good game. I was a little surprised. That was kind of my big concern going into the series was Stuart Skinner, just because he had a very shaky postseason leading up to the Florida Panthers. But if you can handle the Dallas Stars, they're a really good team. You can handle this Florida Panthers team.
Yeah, I think the difference though between Florida and Dallas is that Florida is faster than Dallas. They're a lot faster of a team than the Dallas Stars are. So I even think a team with how physical the Dallas Stars play, I still think they would have even struggled against the Panthers. I don't know how many teams are able to or can keep up with a team throughout a whole game, like against a team like the Florida Panthers. They're a fast team, and they're not trying to keep tooting the horn of the Florida Panthers, but they're a good hockey team. So, I mean, so is Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton's there for a reason. These two teams are
Florida.
These two teams are very similar. When you look at the stats across the board. Brandon, what do you think of Stuart Skinner's play tonight? Also,
I thought he actually played a really good game as well. I mean, I know I kind of agree with Aaron. I don't think he really had a chance on the first goal from Verhaeghe. The second goal, I think he could have probably gotten a little bit more in front of, but I mean, those kind of plays happen so quick that they may have not even had a chance to get over to get that one. But I thought he played a pretty decent game for the most part, but guess we'll see how he I know he had a kind of a rough patch throughout some of the other series against Dallas. Yeah, Dallas, but I think he can bounce back and really show that he's going to be out there to do what he can. I mean, he only had faced 18 shots from Florida tonight.
Shots. Yeah.
Yep. So he's the stop 18 or the stop 16 of 18, that's a pretty good stat, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, it sucks that you don't get the win even though you still play, just because the other goaltender played better. At the end of the day, you look at something like the shots on goal. So the Florida Panthers had 4 shots on goal in the first, 8 in the second, which was their more dominant period. At least I thought that was their more dominant period. They were flying around all over the place, at least. And you get 6 shots for the Florida Panthers in the third. How does it concern you at all, Aaron, when you look at something like that? I mean, Edmonton's been doing this to every team in the playoffs. Their shot count is low, but they're still finding ways to get pucks in the back of the net, or letting the opposing team get pucks in the back of the net. Does that concern you at all in any way?
The win's a win, no matter what you do. I mean, shoot, Edmonton had 10 in Game 6 against the Dallas Stars and won. 2-1, right? So It doesn't matter. Win's a win. As long as you get goals in the net, it doesn't really matter how many shots you take. I mean, I was a little surprised that Edmonton was taking over every period with the shots on goal. I didn't see the third period, so I'm assuming that
7. They had 7.
Edmonton had
7 shots. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were dominating the whole game. They lost, well, technically 2-0 if you don't count empty net goals, but they were doing everything they could against Bobrovsky and it didn't work. So, but yeah, no, the shots on goal doesn't bother me as long as they get them in the net.
Yeah. Brandon, you look at a team like, not look at a team, but Edmonton itself, they had 12 shots, 13 shots, and 7 shots, 32 total. With some of the star players that they have with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and Zach Hyman, who was actually drafted by the Florida Panthers, if you didn't know that.
I did not.
And he couldn't come to they couldn't come to an agreement on terms and contract and stuff, so they traded his rights to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, fun fact, if you didn't know that,
I did not.
So, does it concern you at all, Brandon, that the Edmonton Oilers weren't able to get anything past Bobrovsky tonight? Or was it just the fact that Bob was playing absolutely lights out tonight?
I mean, to have 32 shots on net and you're not getting anything past the goaltender,
that opportunity.
To me, I think that could be pretty concerning for games to come. I mean, you got one more game still left in Florida. Right. Then you go back to Edmonton for 2. I mean, listening to the radio this afternoon, they were talking about how, and especially against 2 caliber teams like you're playing with, if you go up in a series 2-0, that's pretty crippling for the other team that's on the other side of that, that's going down 2-0. I mean, it might be a different story whenever they go back home, since they'll be going to Edmonton for game 3.
Right.
But at the same time, you're both Edmonton and Florida are top level caliber teams. And if you give them any bit of space to get some sort of a lead or some sort of momentum going, you could be in a little bit of trouble. And Edmonton, I feel like, has to come out, and if they're wanting to have any sort of chance, I think they're going to have to come out and win on Monday if they're wanting to have any sort of chance of making it far in this series.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tougher of a road if you go back to Edmonton down 2-0 compared to 1-1.
Yeah.
Because Florida is not just they're not just a good team at home. They're a good team on the road too. They play a little different when they're on the road. They control the puck more. Aaron, you saw it in the Eastern Conference Finals. They're a different team when they're on the road.
Yeah,
they'll score 2 goals and just lock things down the rest of the night, and that'll be enough for them to get a win.
Plus, they're like 67-0-4, the entire season, with leading after the second period.
Right, which is a stupid, ridiculous stat. Also, that's dumb. You'd be 67-0 after leading after God.
Well, I think Edmonton, though. I think they take game 2. Yeah. I think once they score, I think it's going to open the floodgates for everyone, and I think the guy who's going to score is going to be Zach Hyman, because he's Hyman the Pieman, and he's been cruising for this Oilers team. So I think once that happens, everything's just going to kind of make it easier, less pressure for the only one who has experience is Corey Perry in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it's his 5th Stanley Cup Finals appearance with the 5th different team.
Most ever.
Yeah. 5th, not his 5th. Yeah, I guess it's his 5th Stanley Cup Final with the 5th different team. It's interesting. You get the Corey Perry curse, though, possibly.
He did win in Anaheim, though.
He won in Anaheim. That's a little different, I think.
Is it
a little different in Anaheim? Brandon? What is going on?
It's like quack Anaheim. Oh, Twins.
What?
I don't know. My phone's being weird.
No, I was about to say, like, hey, you got 2 of you on here. One of them's frozen. That's what it is. It's fine. You look at stats across stats from the game tonight. Connor McDavid had 6 shots on goal. That was it. There was nothing else besides that. He played 25 minutes. He was -2 and 1 block on in the game. Face-off percentage, he was at 33%. Aaron, how is it? I wouldn't say how important. Do you think we see a different Connor McDavid in game 2?
Possibly. I think if he can't score, he'll just try to make assists, try to help out his teammates, is what we've seen, which a lot of people were criticizing for, because he wasn't scoring a lot in this entire playoffs, but he had just as much as assists as Wayne Gretzky had. The only 2 Oilers, I think, to do that. So yeah, I think the biggest question, though, is Leon Draisaitl. I think this is his second game this postseason where he has no points at all. I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. how many shots did he have today?
He had 4 hits, 1 block. He was -1. 23 minutes, 14 seconds on ice, and then 4 shots on goal tonight for Leon Draisaitl.
Yep.
So not an awful game.
I think Draisaitl needs to get a little more going.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I did hear something interesting. So when it comes to the Edmonton power play or penalty kill, that neither Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl are on the ice at all during the Edmonton penalty kill. Did learn that tonight. That was the first I've heard of that.
That's interesting because they're 30 for 30, so that's
right.
amazing.
Yeah. You think that's something that they change? That they could change? I know they went over. They went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight. But do you take that little bit of a opportunity or risk to get a shorthanded goal? And that's if that's the case, and put your star, your star players out there, at least one of them, to try to get a shorthanded goal, possibly, instead of.
Is it Nugent Hopkins on their penalty kill?
I think he is.
He's a number 1 pick. I think he needs to step it up if we're going to talk about that, because I think McDavid and Draisaitl do too much for this team. So right. I'm okay with a breather like that, but like if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
But
that's fair.
If Ryan Nugent Hopkins is on that first penalty kill, which I believe he is, I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
Right.
But yeah, he needs to step it up if you want a shorthand goal for that, especially being a number 1 overall pick all those years ago.
Yeah, him, Nugent Hopkins, and Derek Ryan, Matthias Ekholm, and Cody Ceci are on that first penalty kill unit.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job in the playoffs so far. I mean,
yep.
They're what, 6? Did I read that right? They're 6 on the penalty kill.
They
should be first though.
Oh yeah, the first.
I think they are first because they're.
I'm thinking of Florida. I'm thinking of Florida's power play.
Oh, okay.
Who's 7th, ranked 7th in the playoffs so far. We look ahead to game 2, Monday night in Florida. Who has to step up for the Edmonton Oilers? Who needs to? Clear answer is probably Connor McDavid, but who else? Who else on the Oilers side? Aaron needs to play better or be that guy to step up a little bit.
Their entire blue line. No, no, I'm gonna have to go with. Can't do the obvious guys. I'm gonna go with Adam Henrique. I'm gonna go with Adam Henrique on this one. He's got. I mean, he does have a Stanley Cup experience with the New Jersey Devils. He didn't win with them, obviously, because the LA Kings were just dominant back then. That 3-year span.
Oh yeah.
Let's go with Adam Henrique. They traded for him. They gave up, I believe it was a 2nd rounder for him. They found something in him in Anaheim. He has playoff experience with the Devils. So I think he needs to step it up big time. I know he was hurt in the 2nd round and then the Western Conference Finals for a little bit, but he came back. I think he needs to step it up because they saw something in him that they knew it was going to help out with this team. So I'm going to go Adam Henrique.
Okay. Brandon, what about you? For the Edmonton Oilers, who needs to take their game to the next level?
Watching the game tonight, I'm going to almost say Bouchard a little bit because, I mean, tonight, Bouchard, I didn't really think that he really played all that great of a game. And there was like some points when he was on the ice that I felt that he was kind of invisible a little bit. I didn't really notice that they didn't really talk about him much on the telecast or anything. And if I'm correct, he was -1. He had 27 minutes on the ice, 4 shots on goal. So, I mean, we have 27 minutes on the ice and not really much going for you contribution-wise. I mean, he only even had 1 hit. I mean, he's not really much of a hitter, I don't believe. But still, I mean, that just seems like off numbers for Bouchard, and even a lot of the top 5 guys on that team. These numbers just seem very off. I mean, granted, you're going up against a team like Florida, who is just a monster when it comes at getting the puck out of your zone and getting it up the ice, and their back check and their forecheck are pretty dominant. So, I mean, seeing the numbers like they did have tonight, and granted, whenever Edmonton was going against Dallas, they had 2 game stretch like this where they struggled against Dallas, and then they came out and they played obviously a lot better from that time on. So maybe it's just one of those things that it's a little bit of a break-in period, or figure out what type of game these guys are going to be playing. We're going to get a game plan set up for maybe the next game, and then we're gonna show them that we have a little bit different game plan for coming into game 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I look at it. You look at some of the guys who probably should have more time. I mean, the Oilers had 2-3 guys that had over 20 minutes of time on ice, at least on the forward side of things. If you count the defense, it's 4. There's 4 guys. So guys like Janmark, 11 and a half minutes on the ice tonight.
Yep.
Henrique had 12 minutes. Connor Brown, 10 minutes.
Vogel had 10.
Vogel had 10. Holloway had 11. Evander Kane had 15 minutes. Evander Kane he had no shots on goal. No, there was -1?
-1 with 3 hits.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
You're surprised with that one?
Yeah, for Vander Kane, yeah. I thought he was doing pretty well in these playoffs, and then Panthers just shut him down.
Yeah, well, that's who I would pick that needs to step. You're gonna have 15 minutes on ice. You're gonna have to give a little bit more than that. And some guys out there who, it can't be the Hyman Draisaitl McDavid show. If not, it's not gonna happen for the Oilers.
No.
So
yeah, you got to have contribution from your whole entire team at this point. You can't just rely on those top few guys in order to get all your production.
Right. What's your predictions before we wrap things up here? What's your predictions for game 2, Aaron?
Well, obviously my caption says Oilers in 7, so I'm gonna have to go with 3-2 Edmonton.
Okay.
And
Overtime?
McDavid has the game-winning goal.
Overtime?
Mm,
Hopefully not.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do overtime.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? Brandon, what do you think? What's your predictions for game 2?
Ooh, game 2. I think there's going to be a little different dynamic. I mean, obviously, yes, it's still going to be fast paced, just like tonight was. But I think you're going to see a little bit different style of play from Edmonton, because I don't think they're going to come out and have another game like this. I feel like it's going to be low scoring like tonight's game was. There's a lot of good back and forth. I feel like game 2 is going to be kind of more the same. I think it'll be probably maybe a 2-1 type of night, and Edmonton will probably come out with the dub.
Yeah. I definitely see that's where I was thinking. Except for I was going to go 2-1 Florida. I think this game's going to be a little bit more physical on Edmonton's side. I think they're going to come out and they're going to be they're going to have a little bit of chip on their shoulder because they got a little embarrassed tonight's game. So I think they'll have that little bit of chip on their shoulder, but I still think they fall 2-1. I think it'll be a late or mid third period goal. We'll see a lot of 1-1 action for a while, and then Florida will put it away in the third.
Watch it be like a Sam Bennett or something, or probably Matt Tuck, because he hasn't done anything since game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final, with at least goal wise.
Right. You're not wrong. He's definitely a guy that needs to get some points on the board for the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts? No.
Go Oilers.
Oilers at 7, Brandon.
This is surprising, Aaron. I'm normally rooting for the West, and you're normally rooting for the East.
Yeah.
We switched the series where I'm rooting for the East and you're rooting for the West. This is weird.
I just can't stand this Florida team. I can't stand them.
Yeah, it's understandable. They knocked you out of the playoffs, so it's fair. That's fair. All righty. Well, thanks for tuning in for the Game 1 recap right here, a reaction show right on the Bright Sports Network. As always, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share it out to everybody you know, and we'll see you maybe Game 2, after Game 2. Maybe. We'll see.
Yes, I'll be here for Game 2 recap if we have it.
Yeah. So if not, I probably won't have a 5-hole on Monday then, so that way we can recap, watch the game, and whatnot for you. So we know what's going on, so we don't sound like a bunch of buffoons up here talking. So we'll see you next time on the 5-hole for a Game 2 reaction.
Sounds good.